G'day, fans, and welcome back to yet another exciting episode of Talking Stuff. This is a particularly exciting one because I'm classing it as Talking Stuff Light because I've been busy all week with the damn Olympic Games. But I tell you one person who's absolutely not light, and that is Mr. Aaron over there. How you feeling there, Mr. Aaron?
I'm feeling fantastic. I've got more testosterone than an Algerian women's boxer. So Talking Stuff is stuffed tonight, right?
Tell you what, mate, I've just been living in front of the television for 2 damn weeks, and I swear this is how I'm looking at the moment, right? I've got nothing but rectangular eyes. You can't say square eyes anymore because TVs are rectangular. And I've just been living in front of the tube. In fact, I was watching the Olympics before I came on tonight, and as soon as we finish here, I'll be back onto it again. Absolutely love it, but I'll be glad to see the damn back of it. So
you need the Olympics. You need the Olympics fed into you intravenously.
Oh, tell you what, it's absolutely nuts. And the time zone changes kind of don't help either. But that's okay. I'm taking one for the team. I said, you know what? I need to do the show tonight. I mean, I haven't watched anything sci-fi related all week, like absolutely nothing. Goose eggs, right? I mean, I was just searching the internet yesterday. It's like, what are we going to talk about in this particular show? So luckily, my good lad Aaron came to my rescue. So yeah,
we're going to need a nerd intervention.
Oh, I tell you what, it's just not right, is it? So hopefully back to next week, everything will be just back to normal, which is particularly cool. So I guess we should kick the show off because there is actually stuff to talk about, believe it or not, and there will be a sequence later on, fans, where we're going to need your assistance, and we'll come to that when the time comes. But first things first, there's always a bit of news. I haven't pressed this button for a while, so let's just press that button. So some of this is a bit of news. Some of this is just like views and opinions and everything that's going on. Now, first things first, right? Last week or a couple of weeks ago, we were talking about the show Rebel Moon, right? Okay, so the 2 movies came out on Netflix about a month or two ago. The director's cut came out, and lo and behold, and I don't know, like I haven't watched them yet because the reason is the damn things go for 3.5 hours each. What is the deal with that, Mr. Aaron?
Well, it's one of those things where don't you get success on downloads by the number of minutes viewed? So if they can put the second ones up that are longer than the first ones, they're going to seem like a bigger success. I don't know. Bigger doesn't always mean better. I watched some of it. Do you know what there's a lot of? There's a lot of slow motion walking through wheat fields, like fingering the top of the wheat as they go through. Do we really need that padding to pad it out to 3.5 hours an episode? Have them walking through the wheat field in normal speed if it's that long.
Oh, hang on. It could be like the Brian De Palma way of school filmmaking where everything just slowed down. Maybe they're doing the $6 Million Man without the sound effects. I just thought it was funny because I heard as the director's cut is coming out. I said, that's all great. I thought they're going to join both movies together, make one big movie, add all the blood, the gore, the sex, whatever, done. And I look on the thing, it says 3.5 hours. I go, hang on, that's just part 1 and part 2. So that's 7 hours for 2 friggin' movies. What? That's almost Lord of the Rings bloody duration. What is the deal with that? Who's going to set aside 7.5 hours? 7 hours, sorry.
You know the original version that came out 6 months ago. Do you know who cut that?
No.
Zack Snyder. That's the director's cut too.
Oh yeah.
What's the deal?
Yeah. Oh, I don't know, mate. Absolutely unbelievable. So I thought, mate, I'm going to set aside 7 hours to watch this damn thing, and then with a bit of luck, we'll do a review on it. Hotline has joined us from Ukraine. Absolutely fantastic. Ukraine is actually doing relatively well in the Olympic Games. I should know because I've been watching the damn thing for the past 2 weeks.
Do you know where Ukraine's doing well? They're doing well in a 15-kilometer incursion of Russia this week.
Good on you, mate. Don't mention the W word. All right. I like this one from Brusky Babes. If the combine harvester had gone through the show, would have been 50 minutes. Yeah, I will set aside some time to plow through. I'll get through the first movie at least, and then we'll see if we're going to discuss it here. But I thought, friggin' hell, bloody 3.5 hours per movie.
Here's a question for you. Might it have been better to take the 7-hour cut and turn it into a mini series of 8 episodes?
Yeah,
that could have been a way to do it.
Yeah, it could have been actually. So anyway, it's long. Okay, fans, whether it's worth that length is anybody's guess, but we shall wait and see. Now, as I said at the start of the show, a few people have joined us since we've gotten on board. I've been away from the whole sci-fi thing the entire week. I've just been digging up news left, right, and center. Half this stuff I haven't even looked at. I looked at the special wheat cut. Yes, absolutely fantastic. One of the things that got announced, I assume this was relatively recently, Good old MCU. Some people love it, some people don't. Is the series Agatha, the character who was introduced in WandaVision. Dude, what do you reckon about this one?
It's the series we had to have. There were so many unanswered questions. Like, so many unanswered questions. I mean, I actually enjoyed WandaVision. I guess people don't realize that was really Disney's first foray into the television version of the MCU. And it was a lot different from what I thought. I thought they treated the audience a lot smarter than something, say, Falcon and the Winter Soldier kind of thing TV series. But the Agatha thing kind of ended it with like, oops, it was Agatha all along at the end. It was almost like you had this really good slow burn series and they deliberately ended it and spun it off into another series. So I was disappointed by that ending. I will, of course, watch this, but I don't really have high expectations. That said, if it comes out in October and it's a scary Halloween type show, maybe that's a good thing.
Yeah, you are right. When WandaVision came out, it was very unique because obviously it was inspired by the 1950s and 60s TV shows being in black and white and using that very, very unique style. And it was actually a very good series. I think you are right. They dipped a toe in the water. It was post Endgame, and they introduced this Agatha character. And you are right. It got to the end of it. It's like, what happens now? I think the idea of this, without knowing anything about it, is a good idea. Sometimes you come up with a spin-off from a series and you go, you know what? I don't know how it's going to work, but the concept seems to be quite a groovy. It'd be kind of funny if they said, "Oh no, we're going to pick this other character who's hiding around the corner, like the mayor of the city of the town or something like that, somebody boring." But no, they picked this woman, and I think that's actually kind of groovy. So hopefully they do a good job with it, because at the moment MCU TV shows are sort of all up and down after having such a really promising start.
Did you last year see the first part of the Marvel Monsterverse that they released at Christmas,
No,
at Halloween?
no, I didn't.
That was actually quite good. So if they did a horror, I like horror, so it could be good, and it looks like it's got demons and jump scares and scary stuff. So didn't think it would be, didn't think it was the series we needed, but I'll still watch it.
Yeah, well, hopefully, as I said, they do the whole thing justice, and it doesn't come into like, well, that was just a waste of time. It's not like spin-offs from series end up being a complete turkey. Not mentioning the Book of Boba Fett, but let's move on from there, shall we? Are we going to get a spin-off of Agatha? Yeah, probably. I mean, there are such things as spin-offs of spin-offs, so you never know. But
it should be like it should be Tabitha, daughter of Agatha, kind of like. Melvin, son of Alvin types, you know.
So long as you can wiggle the nose. Yeah, absolutely. Love that. Yeah, that is very, very cool. Regarding the MCU, now I know nothing. I just saw it online. I think, oh, hang on, what's this? Looks interesting. I don't even know what this is. Hopefully you can fill us in. There's another MCU. They're busy beavers over there at the moment. Ironheart, not to be confused with Braveheart. What's this, dude?
So Ironheart. Now, I don't know if our vigilant viewers had noticed, but you have Juliet Dreyfus from Seinfeld, and she is Madam Hydra. And she's been coming along at the end of a few movies and a few series, and she's been recruiting some of the NQR Marvel characters. So where you have the Avengers, that would be the top tier, Marvel heroes. Do you know what? I'm totally wrong, because I'm thinking of the Thunderbolts. Ironheart is, of course, the...
Thinking, what?
Ironheart is the female Iron Man. Sorry, I'm going off. I'm going into this big pitch. So Ironheart is the female Iron Man, basically. Yes.
Oh my God, where was that? It was like what? Hang on, where is an Ironheart sort of ending up in the particular discussion? Okay, a female Iron Man, Iron person, Ironheart. So they can't say Iron Woman. I don't know why they just didn't say that.
It's probably because Uncle Toby's own the rights for the.
It could be. I didn't realize it was Dreyfus's character, something about Hydra. Is that her name, is it?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, okay. Oh, well, there you go. There's obviously something deep and meaningful in that. Anyway, so it's a female version of Iron Man, Ironheart. I reckon some people will be up in arms over the fact they just didn't call her Iron Woman. But what are your thoughts? Do you reckon, is this, I don't know anything about the comics. Is this hail from the comics, or they just pull this one out of their furry one?
No, they pull most of them from the comics. They already have the character. She was in one of the TV series. Is it Ant-Man's daughter or something? I can't remember. It's one of those another one of those series. Did we really need it? Probably not, but there we go. We have a plethora of new series to choose from.
Regarding Agatha, I like this one more Dagatha than Agatha. Jeepers creepers. Christy said it's Morgan Stark's story. I don't know. Do you know who that is? Because I really don't.
Oh, that's Iron Man's daughter, isn't it? So there you go. It's not someone else's daughter. And Iron Man's daughter was played by a whole lot of different actresses. I'm not sure which one they're even going for in Ironheart.
Right.
I didn't see a trailer for this either, so not quite sure what it's going to be about.
So you do wonder regarding this whole thing, because every time you got a male superhero, there's a female equivalent, right? Especially in the MCU. So you got the Hulk, and you got She-Hulk, and whatever else. So now that you got Iron Man and now Ironheart, the female version, you do wonder if there's going to be if you can have a Captain America. Oh, and there's already been a female version of Captain America. So that was Agent Carter. Oh God, is that right? Everybody's got a female equivalent somewhere along the line. Is that right? Who's missing?
Yeah, that's Agent Carter. I don't know if she had the super serum though, but in the alternate universe, she was she Captain Britain, where in Multiverse of Madness, where Wanda killed her.
Yeah, you're right. Because I also think in one of the what ifs she was, yes, in the alternative universe she was actually Captain America, but the female version, even though she wasn't American, she was British. Oh my God. Doing my head in. All right, not to worry. Yes, Captain Britain. Yes, exactly right. So it doesn't exactly roll off the tongue, but each their own. Now, this came across what I saw yesterday. Was posted on Facebook. Everything's on Facebook these days. And I had a look at this, and I go, even though I don't think I've ever mentioned this to you yet, I saw this come up. I had a bit of a look, and I'm scratching my head over it, right? Someone has decided to make a complete remake, it's bad English, of Terminator 2 using all AI, right? I've actually forgotten the name of it, Terminator 2, our version, or whatever it's called. And it's promoted as saying using 50 visual effects artists who are specialists in AI. And there's a trailer for it, okay? I've watched most of it. I turned it off. And I don't know if you've seen this or heard about it, but I thought it was a complete and utter waste of time and a waste of resources and a complete waste of skill. Because I thought, if you have 50 AI visual effects artists, hang on, I've got to get my beef out here. If you get 50 AI visual effects artists, get them to do something productive. Don't get them to do a parody of 2-minute Terminator 2. Off the soapbox. Yeah, mate, what's up?
I would just complete and utter waste of time and a complete waste of skill. You were actually reading the reviews for our show.
Hang on. Someone once called us fast and loose. That's right. Yeah. So
I'm definitely not fast, so I must be loose.
Oh, mate, I'm going to stop right there. Kelvin has said he's heard about it.
Someone called us feeble-minded.
That's true. Yes, exactly right. I'm feeble. You're minded. I don't know. Anyway, so there's a trailer for this thing, a website, and all this sort of stuff. And I just did not get down the rationale behind putting all this time and effort into it. And I thought it was just silly, and I just turned it off. So, but anyway, everybody can make up their own decisions. But I thought, and it's almost the same principle as fan films, because it is. It's effectively a fan film just using brand new technology. If you're going to put that much time and effort into producing something like this, create something new, create something different and original. Don't copy someone else's work. So I thought, but
if they're using AI, how are they using CGI artists? Are they just asking the AI to produce stuff and it comes out, or what's the deal with that? Because I thought saying, sorry, go ahead.
No, go.
Well, if they say, like now, anyone can go to an AI program and say, I want to make a different version of Terminator. Take the original script, which the AI will find online, and, turn it so it looks like the Terminator's the bear from Five Nights at Freddy's, and produce the movie kind of thing. Producing an AI movie, for me, doesn't seem like a lot of work.
Yeah, who knows? We may have to have a bigger discussion about this later down the track. It looks very CG orientated. It's got Arnie and all those guys. It's all digitally done, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, oh, what a waste of resources and time and effort. But hey, if some people really dial into it, good luck to them. So Michael has said, if they don't copy something, how will they have an idea? Yeah, exactly right. I came from a filmmaking background regarding fan films, and there was always a school of thought that says, okay, if your fan film gets too big and too expensive, you might as well just invest all that money into an original project, because with fan films you can't make any money out of them. And not everybody gets a job in the movie industry by making fan films, which is that conception that most people have. Oh, I make this awesome movie, I'm going to get into Hollywood, and it doesn't always work that way. Anyway,
it happens.
the run.
If you said to AI, like something really radical that it didn't get. Like, can you produce a movie based on your dreams? We'd get all these movies about electric sheep.
That's a very, very good point. Getting back to the other characters, the MCU thing, Chrissy said Hawkeye didn't have a counterpart. I thought she did. It was in the TV series Hawkeye. There was a lady there who was shooting arrows all over the place. So am I right on that one, dude?
Cupid. I don't know. Yes, it was. Maybe that was Ant-Man's daughter. I know that they span off sort of a young girl that Hawkeye was sort of tutoring, like, so yeah.
Yep.
But no, it's one of those things that, don't think about too much or your brain freezes.
Yeah, I'll win the car on that one. And regarding the English version of Captain America, Captain Pommy Bastard. Unbelievable. You got to love it. It's all good. It's okay, English people.
What?
We still love you. What?
They could never creep up on anyone because you just hear the whinging.
Damn it, these shoes are still too tight. The ground is slippery. God damn it. So I didn't get to finish my pint before I had to leave the pub.
Before anyone says I'm being racist, I'm British. I'm a pom.
Oh, that's actually very
And do you know what? Do you know what their Achilles heel is? The bar of soap bomb.
The bar of soap bomb. Oh my God! Anyway, that is actually very, very funny. Yes, well done. Well timed. Yes, indeedy, doody, diny. The whinging are very good. When they do sneak up on you and you turn around, they go. They're just trying to let it out. All right. Anyway, move on.
I thought you were saying they can't show their crooked teeth.
Exactly right, because they are dentists. Oh my God. Anyway, let's move on before we just get ourselves into where we go with this. Another bit of news that came out. Apparently, there is stories now. Orville season 4 is apparently going to happen. People out there who know more about this than I do can say yes or no. But if they are doing an Orville season 4, all power to them. Be very curious to see how it goes. One thing about a lot of new TV series now, they've all gotten wind of the idea of having very short seasons. So the days of having 23 episodes a season, they seem to be gone. It's all 8s and 10s now. So you get 8 or 10 good quality ones in a season, and that's definitely the way to go as opposed to the 23 episode seasons. What do you reckon, dude?
The way things are going, in 20 years' time, when a new series drops, the last 5 episodes of the previous series will just disappear, and that's it.
Well, it does beg the point of saying that if a series is that short, and a lot of them are these days, they will get forgotten pretty quickly. And if there are some examples, like when they did House of Cards way back when Netflix started up, they just dropped the whole season in one go, and you just binge watch it in one day, you're done. And there's going to be a lot of shows that just get lost and forgotten because they didn't have such a long duration that they just got stuck in people's minds. So you do wonder, and I think we're going to struggle with that. Yeah,
we've talked about it, how Doctor Who seemed like it disappeared too fast. The Game of Thrones spin-off House of Dragon has come and gone after 8 episodes, which I was surprised because Game of Thrones, I think, was about 18 or 16 episodes, and then the last 2 series they dropped down to 12, and everyone thought that was too short. And now House of Dragons come out and it's only 8. So I guess the cost of CGI dragons has got higher and higher.
Yeah, actually, that's what I was when you were speaking. I thought maybe the cost of the episodes. They say, you know what? If we did a 23 season episodes per season, it cost us $50 billion. Just do 8 or 10, and it's a lot cheaper. Kelvin's got to come with a good point. Short series means the writers are having difficulty finding regular work. Well, that's true. I reckon if you're a writer on a TV system, stick with sci-fi, like Star Trek back in the 90s, whatever. I mean, cooking on gas, 23 episodes. That's freaking awesome. Now they'd only be working for 2 or 3 weeks and they're gone. So
I'll tell you what, though, if it used to be, 26 episodes a season, it's cut down to 8. Every one of those 8 episodes should be freaking amazing.
Yeah, I totally agree with you too. So that's why when you do get the filler ones, and we saw this with good old Docky Who, you do sit there and just banging your head against walls. Michael said it's hard to build a fan base from 8 episodes. It is, yes, depending on what the show is. If it's a brand new show, has no, using Orville as an example, where there's no predecessor, it has to be pretty damn good to really sort of find find its place in the world. Things like Firefly obviously did that, but they were meant to have a longer run. Yeah, it's a very good point. And we've discussed, Aaron and I, we've seen some great shows that had a really short run, even if there's another season coming, and most people they just miss them. So yeah, exactly right. According to Colin, Orville has not been officially confirmed by either Disney or Hulu. It was one of the Orville actors who announced that a Star Trek Con, the new series, could possibly commence production next year. Yeah, fair enough. Dangling a carrot. In that case, then it may not happen. Who knows? But yeah, exactly right. Very good. What do you reckon?
I think every season of Orville, they've been unsure whether there's going to be another series. So it doesn't surprise me that it's happened again.
Yeah, well, a lot of shows and movies, there's always like Star Trek, the fourth Star Trek movie. Oh, it's happening. And it's like, you just get to a point and go, oh, mate, will you just shut up, guys? It ain't happening. Just deal with it. I think people just get a whiff of something. Because if you're an actor doing a convention, you just dangle that carrot to all the fans. They could completely burko. They're all on social media. Oh, my God, it's happening. And of course, it's not because, as you said, it wasn't confirmed.
Fans are a gullible bunch sometimes. Do you know
Yes.
how many times you might have even been there in the shop where someone comes in and has seen something off of some random YouTube channel? It's usually they're making a He-Man movie and you're never going to believe it. Justin Bieber is going to be Prince Adam and all this stuff. And you're like, really? Where did you see this? It was on a very slick-looking YouTube channel. That's never going to happen.
Yes, that's the old clickbait working its way. And the thing about clickbait is people get sucked in by it, which I think is kind of rather funny. Disney can't make Orville as they committed to Docky her. Yeah, well, exactly right. One thing that did come up now, this was missed from last week. Apologies to all the Star Trek fans, is that at San Diego Comic-Con, they did actually release a thing with Section 31, the new Star Trek spin-off show from Discovery. The thing I find funny at the very start of the video, for those who didn't see it, it's I like this misfit content. You'd almost think, oh, this is meant to be like a comedy or something. But I like the colourful metaphors, disintegration, Delton fraternizing, and reference to unauthorized time jumps. So what do you reckon, Mr. Aaron? Did you check this out at all?
Yeah, I did remember. I said I'd watched it, and it did not seem to get the idea of what Section 31 was all about. This I think we didn't discuss it last week. We actually discussed it off air when they came out and said it's like the tone of Guardians of the Galaxy. I really love Guardians of the Galaxy. I just do not see that being as a tone that equates to Star Trek for me.
It's an interesting one. I liked what I saw, but I'm not entirely sure where they're going with it. I think they're taking a bit of a risk, and I think it's almost like they've got Michelle Yeoh, and they've said, "Okay, we love your persona as a person. We're going to just modify that and stick it into a TV show, based on the Philippa Georgiou character." And work around that rather than saying we'll just try and fit it into the theme of how the other shows are made, whether it be New Worlds or Discovery.
Yeah,
it could work really well. It could fall flat on its face, but based on just the trailer, I think it's going in a new direction, doing something different, and for that reason, it could probably work quite well. That'd be my gut.
Well, I'll say this: it's probably a better movie than like a shadowy guy from the future visiting Dr. Bashir and saying, you can't mention anything to anyone, which is usually what you saw for most of the Section 31 stuff when it was in previous Star Trek. I don't know if they're going to chain it more into, this is the Federation's time agency or something like that, where they go and have wild adventures like the Time Bandits. That's kind of how it looked to me.
Yeah, it looks very adventurous rather than dead serious. And look, I applaud them for it. I mean, it's very left field for a normal Star Trek show. So I guess it's almost appealing to non-Star Trek fans. Just saying, if you like this actress, just watch this show. She'll be fantastic in it. All power to them. We'll have to wait and see.
Well, the other announcement, which was kind of made at the same time of this, and it's probably worth a discussion, did you see, or what do you think of them announcing there's going to be a Star Trek sitcom, a live-action Star Trek sitcom written by the people who did Lower Decks?
I missed that. That went straight through the keep. I was too busy watching the Olympic Games. No, I missed that. Oh, okay. Really?
So
a sitcom?
Okay. Yeah, that's another one. Now, I do remember too long ago, 20 years ago or something, they floated the idea of a sitcom with Lwaxana Troy. being in the next generation era, but everyone thought that was a really, really bad idea, so it never happened. Now they've floated again, maybe because Lower Decks has been successful for a sector of the younger audience, maybe, that they think it could be a good idea. I don't think Star Trek... Look, what I think is funny in Star Trek is the clip we looked at from Strange New Worlds, where they're Vulcans, and that's the comedy. It's part of the story, not a laugh track series. I don't think they should do that.
I think the Deanna Troy one, they're going to call it My Big Fat Betazoid Wedding, but because everybody has to be naked, they go, yeah, that's just going to be just like rated R from the outset, so they didn't go ahead with it. I don't know. Anyway, a sitcom, I don't know. Each to their own. I mean, if worse comes to worse, just go straight back to the 1990s and watch all the Star Trek from there and see how we go. Anyway, that's all news. We wait and see what's going on. Now, guess what, fans? Kind of need your help. As I said, we're making this up as we went along, and we shortchanged ourselves regarding topics for this evening. But one of the things that did actually come up, believe it or not, is I went and had a bit of a sticky beak at the old Rotten Tomatoes. And one of the things that apparently is happening at the moment, and this is why I need it for people who are watching the show live right now, is all about movies, sci-fi movies and stuff that are occurring or are being released on streaming services. Now, until I saw this image, I didn't realize there were so many of them. And there's even more than this, because I think BritBox is missing and there's probably a few others. So there's apparently a whole army of sci-fi movies coming out to streaming services. And these could be overseas, America, not necessarily here. But half of them, I was like, what are some of these, dude? Now, we've got Rebel Moon at the top. Look at that. There's a show called Free LSD. What is the deal with that? Some of these things don't have Wikipedia entries. They're not even available online. I like it. The Abandoned, Hyperborean. What do you reckon has anybody actually seen these? I guess that's the question I'm asking, dude.
A collection of P-grade sci-fi movies must be called a Roxy Music, as you said, more than this. But look, some of these can be fun, and some of these will probably be something that never get watched by anyone, because a lot of the stuff with streaming is the algorithms look at what you watch and then they bring up similar things. So if you're someone who likes the B-grade movies, Meth Gator, probably the sequel to Cocaine Bear, will be like top of your recommendations. But if you're there watching Bridgerton, these are going to fly totally under the radar. So maybe it's good that we're highlighting some of the fine productions that streaming services have to offer at the moment or coming soon.
Well, I don't know about you, but I'm busting my chops to see Janet Planet. Oh my goodness.
That's no moon, it's Janet Planet.
You know what? And look, I agree with you. Meth Gator, and I go, all right, clearly that's a B grade schlocky bloody thing. But what I'm asking, has anybody watched some of these? Like I like this one, Alien Love, up here on the top left. What is the deal with that, dude? That has a lot of connotations associated with it.
That's my first search on Pornhub every time, Dags. But it is one of those things. I think people choose the titles like that because they're provocative enough that someone might click on it watch the first 5 minutes just off the title.
Well, you know what? Clearly, and I totally agree with you. I mean, Love.
Whoever is going to watch a stupid-sounding movie like Furiosa?
Yeah, I know. Well, to be fair, that is part of a franchise. If that came out by itself, though, itself, without having the Mad Max background, it'd be in this list for sure. I like this one. Another you could add to that list is an actual movie called Bad CGI Gator.
What I find funny is we have a joke about these bad movies coming out, and these are all Kelvin and Williams in their baskets for the next Blu-rays they buy.
Well, what, they're letting me down at the moment, not seeing any of them. I mean, these are all on streaming services somewhere, so I don't know which one. I got no idea. Spankin has said Meth Gator. It should be on Tubi. You do wonder, I mean, what I find funny about these movies is someone has clearly put a bit of time, effort, and money into these because they're now on a streaming service, which in itself is like 18. But I mean, the bottom right-hand corner, Mars Express, is an animated film. I know that much. Agent Recon up there. I reckon that's a grouse-sounding title. I mean, the Beast could be the dude from the Chaser. So
our friend Saoirse Brightburn is in that latency picture there, right there, isn't she?
Hang on.
Did you see?
Oh, yes, exactly right. But hang on, where is Maxwell Dagmar? That's what I want to know.
He didn't get his own spin-off movie. He wasn't a popular enough character.
Yeah, I was going to say Tuesday. I reckon that's going to be struggling for an audience with a name just as basic as that. But yeah,
The
I love it.
Boomtown Rats would
Alien
watch
Love
it.
looks like Alienation. Huh? Sorry, go on.
The Boomtown Rats would watch it.
They would, because they don't like Mondays, as we all well know. Oh my goodness! Was the budget more than $50? Oh God, that. I mean, to be fair, and I agree with you. A really groovy title, a pretty slick looking poster that Photoshop can whip up pretty quickly these days. You do wonder what these things are like, but it does go to show these things once upon a time may have actually ended up in a video store in the VHS library. You know, the old one video for $7 for 7 nights sort of scenario. So it's better than nothing, and they are actually streamed. And Rotten Tomatoes put them up there. So yeah, sorry, dude.
Just like the 5 weeklies for $5 kind of thing.
Yep, exactly right. Very good. Whether these are real or not, yes, these are real, by the way. This came from Rotten Tomatoes. There are so many indie sci-fi and horror flicks that you can't keep up with them. That is true. Both Russell and myself have actually worked on independent horror/science fiction movies that just disappeared into the ether. So, and just to finish off, because this is just for this year, right? And obviously you got Godzilla -1 in the bottom left, but an Ultraman on the top right. Ghost Planet. I reckon that's a groovy sounding name on the right-hand side. And Meteor Day 1. Dude, how good is that?
I'm sure there was a band called Phantom Planet. I might be making that up. Meteor, that's like Apocalypso by the looks of it.
It does, doesn't it, eh? So, Animalia, I think, is an Australian show, which based on the book, if you remember the book, oh God, from decades ago now, the children's book. And this one here, I can't even read that. I saw the TV something, Grew. Yeah, that's a poster that clearly isn't going to get in Spankin's collection, that's for sure. So, what do you reckon, dude?
No, if it was, I saw the TV Cow, is it, or something?
I saw hang on. I'll have to bring out the magnifying glass of truth. I saw the TV Glow. Oh, there you go.
Oh.
So, there you go. How about that? Oh, here we go. Yeah, Michael's on top of it. Yeah, I saw the TV Glow. So, well, I'm disappointed because aside from the really obvious ones, no one watching us now has actually said, yep, I've seen half of those movies. Williams let me down, saying, mate, they are absolutely awesome. Must check them out. No, everybody's list let me down. Unbelievable. Spankin said, at least someone got off their ass and made a film. That's exactly right. Good on them for doing it, and love to get off my ass and do it too. Yeah, exactly right. So I agree. The fact they got a place in streaming is awesome. Dare I say it, these days, if you just go straight to DVD and it's a physical media release, a lot of these things just get lost in JB Hi-Fi or wherever else. So, and we've called them up here, so you never know. Somebody might say, hey, I saw this movie because I saw it on Talking Stuff. So very good. What do you reckon, dude?
Sounds like a name for a really good YouTube show. You know, you pick something that no one has ever seen and do a review on it every week.
And you could say it's the worst thing or the best thing you've ever seen, even if you didn't watch it. So, and then when someone comes back and says, you're completely wrong. Yeah, that was not even remotely close to what it was about. You say, hey, well, at least it made you watch it. So, you know, where's our royalties? Thank you very much. Anyway, so clearly nobody's watching these things on streaming services, but they are out there apparently. And that's just for this year alone. Oh, God, unbelievable. So let's move on to something a bit more serious because now it is time for this.
A question.
All right. So we have the important section we need to ask my lad a question, which he has not been pre-warned about. My question for you tonight, dude, because it was inspired by Ready Player One. Will virtual reality replace movies and TV shows? And I mean that from an entertainment perspective to the point where if you can immerse yourself into a virtual reality environment, a la Ready Player One, will there still be a need for movies and TV shows?
I don't know. It's a really interesting question. It's one of those things where virtual reality like Ready Player One is almost like changing the entire way society lives. I don't know if that's something the way it would go. But did you notice what the main theme of Ready Player One was? All the stuff that was inside virtual reality was TV and movies and games related. It's like they're almost saying that the current generation don't have any new ideas. This is an interesting topic for me because I have thought about you know, virtual reality in relation to Doctor Who. I know I go back there, but the BBC have been in my pocket since about 1981 with videos. We've done it before. I calculated all the video releases, all the DV releases, all the Blu-ray releases, and how much money I've spent. And at the end of the Blu-ray releases, I will be happy that I'll never have to buy those episodes again. And then I was thinking, what if they converted them to virtual reality? So each episode you were immersed in and you could walk around and watch it happening. And then I'd be, holy crap, yes, I would probably have to buy them all again if they did that. So as a form of entertainment, sort of the next step up from TV and movies, like a heightened experience of watching your favorite movie, I think, yes, like they could go there because they're already getting rid of physical media. And this could be the next step that replaces, you know, what is the standard way of watching a movie. As Ready Player One, where most of society just want to sit in their chair and live in a virtual reality world. Not for me, and I don't think for anyone of our generation really. The way I see kids who just want to get, you know, out of the world into the house, onto TVs and network with their friends, maybe it is something that in the future might happen.
So for those who don't know, with the Ready Player One, which was based on a book, the pop culture references were all added in deliberately. And then when they did the film, they did the same thing because I guess it kind of made the film easier to watch because you could relate to everything. And as it turned out, in the Oasis, all these the guy who created the Oasis, he was a pop culture fan of, believe it or not, the 80s and the 70s, and as a result, people could actually dress up and be those characters. So it worked in the film really, really well, and it made a lot of sense. And of course, in real life, in the film's real life, the world is completely like a dystopian sort of environment. So people escape the real world by getting into the Oasis, and that's what they do there. So whether they do it in reality here, now I agree with the idea of what you said, that if you could actually stand in the middle of the movie set of the TV environment, say because in your case the TARDIS, and you can actually look around and see it all there, you would assume people then would create brand new content to fill that environment. But the idea of sitting in front of a two-dimensional screen, you would have to think, well, if there's an alternative of being in the environment itself, you would almost say, well, that's where I want to be. I want to be a part of Star Trek. I want to be on the bridge of the Enterprise. I want to be on, you know, a Star Destroyer, and I want to be with the Rebels and on Hoth and whatever else. And it's that extra level that if you could do it, I think a lot of people probably would. And if the opportunity presented itself, then that would be the go. So I think movies in the traditional sense and TV shows would be struggling to find an audience. We're talking, this is a long period of time. We're not talking next week, but I know they've already started to introduce headsets. When you look around, the environment sort of moves with you, which is very, very groovy. Yeah.
And then it would
so if you go on, you go first.
It would just be funny, the rest of the family watching you inside the movie, because if you've ever seen someone who's hooked up to, you know, they're doing all this, but there's nothing there as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. The newest headsets that have just come out, I think just recently, it's like Minority Report. You press all the buttons in the air, you know, and it's really cool for the person wearing it, but you look like a complete tool to everybody else looking at you. Spankin said quite simply, yes, give it time, that TV shows and movies will be replaced by virtual reality. Christy said, given enough time and improvements in technology, let's assume the technology limitations have been removed. Okay. It is entirely probable, not in our lifetimes, but reasonably soon. I think it'll happen a lot sooner than most people realize. Virtual reality is getting better and better. It's not in the mainstream at the moment. Not everybody uses it, but I think if the opportunity was there, a lot of people would dial into it because you do need a lot of stuff to make it work. Russell's different. He says it won't because a VR is okay for gamers, but if you actually want a story, you're going to stick and follow a film and TV show. So based on that logic, and you could be completely right. At the moment, like as of right now, right, there's this big push of producing AI, artificial intelligence movies. We'll stick with movies. And there's a real shove for that. And a lot of people are really sort of looking to see where that's going. If someone said, let's go beyond that again and produce a film, I don't know how you do it, a movie where you do see it in virtual reality. There's no 2D version at all. So the only way to watch it is you've got to stick the headset on, and somehow or other it's like the old 3D version, but now it's literal 3D.
Imagine
that would be interesting. And imagine be the first one to do that. So we've done it Coming At Ya, which was a big 3D movie in the 1980s. but it's in virtual reality. I reckon all the studios will be looking at that thinking, hey, that's the future. So I don't know.
Imagine if it was something like Total Recall, where you just go into the cinema and they put you in a pod, and for 2 hours you play out the movie as one of the characters, and then at the end you think you've saved Mars, but you're really having an embolism and you're dead.
And you're right, and you got to pull this thing out of your nose. Will it become more like the Matrix? No, I think you'd still know that you're in, because you still got to put a thing in your head, right? Until you have a holodeck scenario and you can just walk in and there it all is. That's another step beyond that. Imagine a VR Game of Thrones. Yeah, well, that's right. I mean, the idea is you're meant to actually feel like you're actually there, because 3D. I mean, you got to remember when 3D was created, it was to get away from the screen, so things are actually physically coming towards you. And it'd be just the next extension of that. So I think if someone did it and it worked, I reckon everybody would be going, mate, that is just grouse. So at least give it a burl and see what happens. Colin said, love to sound the bridge of the Enterprise and the cockpit of an X-Wing. Yeah, exactly right. So, but this is not just experiencing that moment, being part of a narrative that's occurring around you. So imagine they say, okay, you sit in a normal chair and you look around and you're actually in Geordie's chair and on the Enterprise, and you physically turn your chair around. There's Picard and Data and all the guys having a conversation. There's the entire story acting out while you're just watching. God, how trippy would that be, dude?
Imagine they put you in randomly as a character and you're like, a red shirt again? Oh no.
Because in all movies, there's always an extra just stand there watching what's going on. So imagine you're that extra. You look down, you see your hands, and you see the uniform, and you just see all the stuff playing out in front of you. Oh, that'd be very, very cool.
You're the guy in June who's whipping the cow.
So what do you think? Do you think that it's possible? Do you reckon that's going to be the goal?
I think it's possible. I don't know if everyone would jump over to it, but I definitely think it's possible.
Yeah, we'll have to watch this space because VR.
It'd be one of those things where you're like, I don't trust those mind-altering headsets. I'm not going in. Oh, what, they've put missing Doctor Who episodes? Let me put it on.
And yeah, imagine that you sit there and suddenly I'm in 1964 or something like that, looking around. It's like, oh my god, there's William Hartnell, and there's like, oh my god, this is just tripping me out. Yeah, you can just imagine when you walk into Aaron's store and he's just walking around the shop like a zombie with this thing on his head. He's like, oh my god, I'm in the TARDIS. How good is that, dude? Not during work hours, huh?
Do you know what I think should be the first movie released this way?
What?
The new Sydney Sweeney Barbarella movie.
You freaking idiot. Russell said, imagine in a VR David Lynch movie. Yeah, exactly right. That would be a tad on the trippy side. I don't know. I'm intrigued, but I reckon somewhere down the track it's going to happen pretty damn quickly. How you do it, that's another question entirely. But yeah, at the moment you are right. Yeah.
You do know when they do it, there will be two firms that almost bring it out simultaneously, and there'll be a VHS beta war to see which one wins the virtual reality market.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I tell you what, I'm going to get you to move a bit to your left, thanks, dude. If you don't mind, umpire, or you're right, just straighten yourself up. Thank you. So, very, very good. Yes, I can see people having a harder time differentiating between real life and VR life. That actually occurs at the moment in the gaming industry, and that's just with a normal 2D screen. Speaking of 2D screens, Mr. Aaron, this is going to bring us in our last topic of conversation for the night. This one's very, very passionate to you about missing media. Good old lost TV shows, and there are some movies as well, especially when you go back to the silent era, but TV shows in particular. And I know this is a bit of a passionate thing of yours because a lot of stuff has just gone by the wayside over the decades. And I know you wanted to have a bit of a quick chat about stuff that's gone ta-das in your travels.
Well, I found it was interesting. Dags and I were talking a week or two ago about the short documentary Dags put together on American Sci-Fi and how a lot of the early stuff from that was missing. So it was hard to get clips. And we were just talking before this show how one of the shows someone brought up, there's just a stub on IMDb and there's no information about it at all, but this show existed. So there is a lot of missing media, and I think in the 20th century going back, there's actually more that was destroyed, especially from the first half of the 20th century, than actually exists. I mean, you talked about movies. Who would have thought Gollum wasn't originally a creature from Lord of the Rings? It was an old black and white movie, which only a few clips exist. So there is a lot of missing media. It's one of the things that I am fascinated in and like looking into and talking about, because obviously there's about 90 missing episodes of Doctor Who. But beyond that, there is an absolute treasure trove of stuff that was thrown out because it wasn't seen as commercial. It was too bulky to keep. People thought someone else had it, so they didn't need to keep a copy. Or there's been studio fires where entire, archives and warehouses full of the master copies of some very famous stuff has burnt and gone. And in those fires, there were examples where there's only one example or only one print left of that movie, so it's gone forever. So it's a really interesting topic. I know we come back to it a bit, but I find it interesting talking about. So what I was going to look at tonight was the list of the top 10 British shows. Most of them are sci-fi fantasy that are missing and would like to come back. And this is the list. Of course, Doctor Who is number one, but that's because it's probably got the most current viewers as well. But if you look at the ones here, it's interesting. Dad's Army is something that people would probably not realize there was missing episodes of because it was repeated for years and years and years. But the earlier black and white ones, as soon as colour TV came in, they didn't really repeat it. This is why a lot of this stuff lost its commercial value. And the other one there is, who would have thought Peter Cook and Dudley Moore's comedies were gone? And the interesting thing about Peter Cook, he was one of the very first artists ever, and I think he might have coined the phrase, it's cultural vandalism, that they were destroying his TV shows. And at the time, the BBC and other stations didn't see it as any problem at all, because TV was a relatively new medium. And if you went and saw your favourite comic live at a show, or had they done a play or something, the performance happens once, everyone enjoys it, no one records it, and no one sees it again. And television at the time was almost just an extension, because a lot of it was live, of live theatre. So if no one was recording live theatre, there didn't seem any use to record live TV shows. And it wasn't until and this will blow people's minds, not the 10 people that are watching, but TV didn't used to be on 24 hours a day. They didn't need to have content to show overnight and during the middle of the afternoon and things like that. There would be, when it started, there'd be a couple of hours in the morning and a couple of hours in the evening. And then as more people got TV, it expanded. And even you and me, Dags, would remember waiting for TV transmission to start at like 6 o'clock in the morning. And then, the good night. I remember the ABC used to play, I think, Advance Australia Fair. It might have even been God Save the Queen when the station shut off at, 11 o'clock or midnight. So there wasn't any need to have repeats of shows to show all night either. So this is why we don't have a lot of the interesting media.
This one I didn't know about. Russell said a lost series, Andra. Is Andra a lost series, is it? I did not know that. I thought that was not that made that long ago. 70s?
It was made in the 70s. It was an Australian series about a android. And I think I have vague memories of it. I definitely have the book somewhere. There was a paperback of it. It was 2 series. I can't remember what the other one was called, but Andra is gone.
Wow, because I remember seeing the book, and that's about the only image I can ever find. So, wow, that's really astounding. I thought by the 1970s they'd sort of not done it as much, but clearly I'm wrong on that one. So, anyway, we've got a few you want to cover off. You go on.
Yes, sorry, the 70s was when they purged a lot of stuff. It was mainly because in 76 they went over to colour, and do you know, it was only from the early 70s to about 78 when they stopped, but they destroyed a lot of stuff. So the other ones here, Public Eye, for me, I don't really know much about. Doomwatch is an amazing series. You can compare it to an early version of the X-Files. It was one of the very first series that was interested in the environment and, how humans were affecting the environment and destroying it and that kind of thing. So with a lot of these series, they're not all destroyed. So there is the VHS and the DVDs. But the thing is, with a lot of these series, it's always the coolest episodes that seem to be the ones that are missing. With Doctor Who, a lot of the classics, probably the top shows are gone. But it's a lot of these shows, when you read the synopsis of what is missing, a lot of it sounds more interesting than the ones that exist. Now, I don't know if that's just because you can't see them. So in your head, you have this, you know, this expectation it might not be as good. Um, but
Mm.
yeah, so, and the thing is, I do remember seeing stuff in my lifetime which is now missing from the archives. Here's a couple of interesting ones. Ace of Wands was a series I had never seen growing up. It was never shown in Australia. And of course, that makes it even more likely when they weren't sold overseas for the series to be missing. Sounds like an absolutely amazing series. There are a couple of episodes that exist, and I've watched some of it since then on YouTube. But like, it's a kid's show about Tarot, who was a magician fighting crime, and the criminals had supernatural powers and used magic and things like that. And it's just a forgotten show, but it's so well regarded that's in the top 10 of missing material. And this is the top 10 of about 200, by the way. We're just going through the top 10 of this stuff. And Callan is another series where most of it exists and is out, but the black and white first series, this is an early Edward Woodward television series, a lot of that's missing. And there's been rumors some of this might be coming back, and there's a lot of people searching for these things. But these are all things where you look at the existing examples, it's a real pity that what we've lost we can't see anymore, because it would be really good to be able to see this stuff just because what exists of it is so good.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. Yeah.
Here's an interesting one. Out of the Unknown. Out of the Unknown was an anthology series, a bit like the Twilight Zone, maybe a bit more hard science and science fiction than the Twilight Zone. And again, a lot of it exists, and the ones that exist are definitely the more average sounding ones. The ones that are gone, there's a lot of stuff by Asimov and famous writers. And one of the cool things about this, you might or you might not recognize that picture at the bottom center from the opening title sequence of Malcolm in the Middle. It has this robot head that sort of snaps together with the two hands in. That was a missing episode, and some American, I guess, where they sell copyright-free material, just had like a 3-second clip of it. No one knows where it came from or how they had it, and it was in Malcolm of the Middle's opening title sequence, and it just appeared on TV. So missing stuff can turn up anywhere.
That is pretty bizarre. It's like one of the things that we discovered in our review of American TV shows. There's only one episode of Buck Rogers, the TV series from the 1950s, and it's really, really poor quality. And that's it, just the one. So, yeah, these things just kind of disappear, but every once in a while something will pop up and you go, oh, bloody hell. So, yeah, which is very, very groovy.
Some stuff, I think when, if you watch Dag's documentary, some stuff was done live, and if they captured it, they had to record it while they were doing it live. And there have been things. The very first Quatermass TV series, very famous as they wanted to record it because they knew it was good, and I think they recorded the first episode successfully, and then during the second episode, the live transmission was projected to a screen, and the screen is what they record of, and a fly just landed on it and walks around for the whole episode. So they go, well, that's ruined, and we're not remounting it. So they didn't even bother recording the other one. So that was doomed from the start. Here's two polar opposites. The Avengers and Top of the Pops. Now, the Avengers, we're not talking the Marvel Avengers, we're talking the proper Avengers, the original British TV series that had Patrick McNee as Steed. And the first series, before they introduced Emma Peel and some of his other lady sidekicks, they had Ian Hendry as the Doctor, who was, I think, looking for his wife, or he was framed for murder or something like that. But most of that was missing. But they found one episode in the American Library of Congress. Why it ended up there, they don't know. It was never sold there. They didn't even know if it was tele-recorded. And then about 10 years ago, they found another episode, Tunnel of Fear. So anyone who likes the Avengers, there's the whole series, but the first series, there's a couple missing. Top of the Pops is an interesting one because it contains so many historic musical performances. A lot of the time, before video clips, I guess the 80s, the only way you would see these bands on TV for us is if they appeared on Countdown or Sounds or one of those other shows. In England, it was the old grey whistle test and Top of the Pops. And it was really at the beginning of, I guess, music video technology. So most of it was the band sitting in the studio playing their songs live. Some of them were live, some of them were, I guess, pre-recorded. I would say out of all the things that would be more newsworthy of being recovered than Doctor Who, it would be Top of the Pops, because if they found all these original Beatles live recordings that no one had ever seen, Doctor Who's popular, but I've got to concede, Beatles, that would be headlines around the world if they found stuff like that. And we're not just talking Beatles, we're talking Rolling Stones and Bowie and all these other seminal artists.
So Spankin, we actually answered the question earlier, were they just lost or destroyed deliberately? For the most part, they were destroyed deliberately for multitudes of reasons. I actually like how you talk in the previous slide. Well, is a Doctor Who? I thought, mate, you can't knock your Docky Who's, can you? Wherever you can slip it in, you will. I love it.
Well, Doctor Who is number one. Number one in the chart, just because there are so many current Doctor Who fans. It is one of the only shows on the chart that is still going and still going strong. And it is interesting that Doctor Who's been going so long. You would never think a show that's so popular now would have like hundreds of episodes missing. Originally, there were hundreds of episodes missing. They found about 50 or 60 from when it was at its worst in the archives, but there's still about 90 episodes missing. That represents a huge slab of missing television of an iconic show that was almost a comedy of errors. It went missing because when rights went back out of repeat overseas, the stations were told to destroy it if they didn't want to send it back, or when they got sent back, they destroyed it. The BBC thought that they held it, and the BBC Enterprises thought the BBC held it, so both copies were destroyed until someone said, hey, stop, like, we need to actually put a list together of what exists where it is, and then they found that the archive was in like much worse condition than they originally thought. So, but luckily, there's enough people now who are trying to preserve this material and find this material. There's been a concerted effort through different individuals traveling overseas, putting themselves in danger to go to television stations in Africa. And the last major recovery was found in Nigeria, which was, I think, 11 or 10, not 9 missing episodes out of 12 episodes of story to come back. And as I said, sometimes you might think these episodes hold a mystique because you can't see them. But I have to say with Doctor Who, the stuff that's come back, it does hold up, and it is really, really good television. It isn't just because it's missing that people go, oh, it was the best episode ever. And at the moment, one of the more interesting ways they're trying to preserve television is there are known collectors, and collectors are often hoarders, and they are very insular and not part of the community where they like to have their stuff and not share it. But there's been a concerted effort, because these people are known, because they get their episodes from somewhere, which is usually someone sells them to them, or there's a trail that leads to them. So even if these people are not willing to give the stuff back at the moment, there's a new sort of, I guess, initiative to make sure that the people around them know that this material is worth something. So if they pass away, it isn't taken to the skip. And there's there's a Facebook site, anyone that's interested in, called Film is Fabulous. And they've been doing some great stuff where they've been sorting people's collections for them. A lot of the time, they're more elderly gentlemen now, so they might not even know what they have or be able to move it around. And I've seen recently they're looking through a massive collection, and a lot of it unfortunately has vinegar syndrome, which is where the film actually starts to deteriorate, and when it deteriorates it smells like vinegar, and that's not something you want, because before long you can't watch the film anymore. So anyone who's interested in this stuff, we've come almost to the end of the episode, worth checking out the Film is Fabulous page on Facebook. Yes,
I love all those film canisters. Sorry,
Yeah.
go. Just wrap it
So
up.
all of those pictures are I've taken them from the Film is Fabulous page. They are all collections they're going through, and they're categorizing, and they have found stuff. There hasn't been a real major find, but they are finding missing material.
Tell you what, there's those. That's a lot of watching for someone who's going to go through all that. Guess what? That is actually the end of our episode, considering we just cobbled this together just last night. For those who haven't done so already, I know all the regular watchers are bored to tears hearing this. Yeah, don't forget to check out all the Sci-Fi Zone socials on YouTube and Instagram, blah, 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 blah. But more importantly, Aaron's Collectibles, your own store, mate. Docky Who Central. Is that right there, Mr. Aaron?
Here's my appeal. If you're watching and you don't know what this show is all about, but you've seen stuff about missing material, if you have a relative or someone who has this kind of stuff in a garage somewhere, or you know where there is some, definitely ring the shop and definitely get us to come out and have a look, because if we were to find something missing, you'd probably go down as a footnote in history of someone who saved something important, and that would be very cool.
And speaking of things that are important, I've got to go back to watching the Olympic Games. So anyway, guys, that's it for us. Next week, I'll be back to being a normal dad, which is very, very cool. Be sure to party hard, rock on, and we'll see you then. Okay, bye for now.
Have a good night, guys.